So in that last video, if you saw it, of me putting all this together, I mentioned that I got to do something with the rear bumper because it is ugly. It's a big hunk of plastic. Comes around, big hunk of plastic here. I wanted to build something really flat and low profile, but the problem with the JKs is that the frame hangs down pretty low. That's why that bumper's so beefy looking, it's so thick, because the frame is actually way down here. So to get something nice and tucked up and to hide this body line right here, you have to get what's called a frame chop kit and a frame chop bumper to go on there to get things pushed up and flush, or just to get a big honking bumper to cover up the frame all the way to the body line. There's not many options out there that are affordable. So while I was out to my local junkyard picking up some Rubicon axles for this Jeep, I came across a bumper that looked pretty good sitting on a wrecked Jeep. And it was sucked up pretty well. It fit the body lines well. The only problem is it does stick out kind of far, and it comes to kind of like a stealth-like looking point. So it's a little bit ugly, but it's better than this. And I got it for free. So when I got it home, I realized it was a Fab Fours bumper, which is actually a very expensive bumper. Does need a little bit of work. Let's go take a look at it. So there it is. It is a Fab Fours bumper. It had, apparently, before the Jeep I got it off of wrecked, it must have had the tire carrier on it. Doesn't have that anymore, but I don't want a tire carrier anyway. And it's pretty low profile as it comes up and it comes all the way down the body line, which I was looking for. It kind of swoops up and doesn't hang out like the stock bumper does. So it's still got decent paint on it. I mean, it's really faded, but it's not really nicked or scratched anywhere, but it does have a little bit of surface rust on just coming through the paint from where it's set in the junkyard. So I'm going to throw a coat of black paint on it, and it did come with D-rings and all the brackets, so we'll get that put on and see what that looks like. So guys, I'm getting ready to paint this thing, and I think I found the paint I want. Obviously, this is some sort of powder coat, and it's real nice, but it's faded pretty badly, so we're going to paint it. I'm going to paint it with this, which I don't know if you can see in the light, but it's a hammered look. I think with a light coat, it will look as much like powder coat as I can. I'm not a big fan of the kind of sparkly look to it, but I went and looked at my powder coated front bumper, which is a Rugged Ridge, I think, and it's kind of sparkly a little bit, so a lot better than just regular Krylon. All right, fellas, that looks pretty good. We'll let her dry and see if we need to put any more down. And remember, the powder coat's underneath this, so this is just to make it look good. This isn't actually protecting it from much because the powder coat was still there. Once this dries, I'll flip it over, paint the backside. We'll be ready to start installing. So that Krylon hammer turned out real nice. Good texture, and it matches pretty well the front. I mean, it doesn't match the front at all, don't get me wrong. But just from a kind of a color and a sheen, word I should use, sheen, it matches. So gotta let this dry. I'm gonna let it dry overnight and cure real nice, at least overnight, before I worry about trying to mount it. All right, guys, the next step should be getting this bumper off, and I've never taken it off, but how hard could it possibly be? Let's get in there and look. All right, it looks like there's a bracket here. Looks like a bolt to get it off the cross member there. Or it looks like there's also a bolt above there where that goes up. That will actually take the bumper side off. All right, looks like there is these L brackets right in front of right behind the tire. So that's 1, 2 bolts, 3 bolts. Of course, 3 on the other side, so that's 6. If that's it, then barring something crazy, we might have this thing off here quick. So all these bolts appear to be 5/8. So I'm not even going to open the garage to get my tools. I'm just going to get the ones out of the Jeep. And let's see what happens. there you have it, a little tip. Go ahead and take those off from the bumper. That way you don't have to wedge them out like that. And it's off. 6 bolts. Six, six, 6 bolts? 6 bolts, whatever. This thing goes on with 16 bolts, and they were put on with grade 8 bolts out of the donor Jeep that I got this thing out of. But it's been from up north, because these zinc plated grade 8 bolts got pretty ugly, pretty quick, look like. I need to get some new grade 8 hardware before we mount this bad boy. Went ahead and painted the shackles, turned out well. Those also came with it. Maybe you can see them over there. I also painted the brackets. Time to put this bumper on. So I did have to get these brackets from Fab Fours. That's a pretty cool bracket, but that's what allows you to mount the new bumper. There are side brackets that also go on those little wings, but it kind of changes some of the mounts and makes it where it's pretty good. It makes it where it's pretty well supported. And that's so if you have a big heavy tire carrier on it, it's pretty well supported. Here's kind of what they look like. They do have 3 bolts in the back, and so you have to drill those for those bolts. I say in the back, they're in the bottom. And so you have to drill these out. I didn't obviously have a template because I didn't buy the bumper new, but I just made my own out of some cardboard. You can see it there. You just got to locate these. Now I will say, when you put the template up there, make sure you put it far enough this way. You see I've got a little bit of space here where when I put these in, it'll draw it this way a little bit, and it may tilt this a little bit if I'm not careful. But you see I drilled the 3 holes. I'm gonna leave everything loose until I get the bumper in these, and then I'll get that tightened up, and I'll just start tightening everything up. You can see some of the holes are slotted, and then some of these on the actual bumper itself are slotted. That way you have a little bit of adjustment. Of course, these frame holes are slotted. These will obviously be however you drill them. Over here, I got to take this tow hook off, and I got to see what that looks like from a bolt hole perspective. Hopefully I won't have to drill that one. But to take this tow hook off, 2 bolts, 1 bolt, and those all look like, what, 3/4 maybe? And they should come right out there. I don't have any corrosion or anything. Guys, on the driver's side of the Jeep, once you get that tow hook out of the way, these holes line up over here. And then, I don't know if all Jeeps are like this, my Sahara is, but the ones under here are already drilled. They're pre-drilled for, that's obviously the tow hook. I don't know what those were pre-drilled for, but they're already there. The other side does not have those 3, so you have to drill them. So that makes this side a lot easier. Let me get these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts and those other 2 over there in. We'll get everything nice and in there, but kind of loose, and we'll set the bumper up and try to start tightening bolts. So you kind of see how their system works. There's a secondary bracket here that bolts down the side, and it sandwiches this plate, which is sandwiched between the bumper and this. And it goes in with 3 more bolts. So all in all, pretty sturdy setup. I'm not necessarily the biggest Fab Fours fan. Some of their stuff's kind of gaudy in my opinion. But this is a well thought out bumper, especially for carrying a bunch of weight. I like that it generally uses all stock bolt hole locations except for those 3 you have to drill. All right, I'll leave all that loose while I get the bumper up here. All right, this thing is not light. You do not want this falling on your foot. Oh no. Woo. Scare me. Alright, I think I'm pretty close. Oh geez. Okay, I'm not anywhere near really close. right, that's not gonna hold. I think it's gonna be easier if I put these little wing brackets on the bumper first, so I can actually see the holes I'm trying to line up. Let's try that. All right, I'm gonna have to get a jack. But I can't put pressure on this enough. Keep it raised up high enough. I like that it all fits this tight. But man, this is a two-person job. And I'm only good for about a half person. So guys, that worked great. Put the 3 bolts in the bumper side first, and then it lines up a lot easier. You can move that bracket around. Make sure you got you a stick of firewood and a jack. So we're gonna do the same thing to the other side, and then everything will be in there loose, and I'll just start tightening. Well, except for the 8 bolts that hold the bumper onto the face of the brackets. We'll see how those line up. Right now I've got 2 in there holding it up, so the other ones should do well. As I go around and I tighten up all these, I've got most of them tight now. I got a few more to go. The biggest tip I can give you, what she said, is to, if you have new brackets from Fab Fours, go ahead and run the bolt through them and clean out any of the coating they have on the brackets, because that will make starting the bolts so much easier. That's the problem I'm having right now, is I went ahead and bolted everything up without running the bolts through the welded on nuts, and it's just very hard to start. Once I get a bolt in and come bring it back out, it's super easy to start. So I'm on my last bolt. I'm telling you guys, if you don't run a bolt through on the front side, then it feels like it's cross-threading the whole way, and it's not. It's just whatever coating they put on it adds just enough thickness to the threads. I am dying.
Oh God. Oh God. I'm okay.
And these top 2 bolts, you have to either use a wrench or one of these pass-throughs, because it's just too hooded. And so you can't really get a full-size ratchet up in there to get good leverage. Whoa, whoa. Yeah? Woo! And finishing touch are these shackles that came with it, which is a good deal. She is done. So I like how this bumper uses the stock hitch. It hides my exhaust, because I didn't like the way that Dynamax exhaust kind of hung out. It looks really good from right behind the Jeep. The only complaint I have is it is designed for a tire carrier. And since I don't have a tire carrier, it kind of has a big old thick bottom lip sticking out. At least I got a bumper now. And a very, 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 very heavy duty bumper. This thing is a beast. So I'm pleased, for considering it cost me $100, which is what I had to pay Fab Fours to ship me the brackets. All right, hopefully y'all like where the Jeep's going as far as transformation. The Dana 44s are in. That's another video I did, and it is raised a little more. That's when I first took the bumper off. But anyway, guys, if you want to see more, y'all know what to do. Keep watching. I'll see y'all later.